It's not by chance that you're viewing this video. There's a reason you're here. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Trust the timing of your life and know that you're being led to where you're meant to be. As you stumble on this video, perhaps not by chance, it will serve to awaken your spirit. God is preparing you for a shift that requires both your obedience and your silence. This next move is not meant for public applause, nor is it intended for everyone's understanding. It is not to be announced or debated. This move is sacred, specific, and designed solely for your eyes. You have reached a pivotal point in your journey where every step carries significance. What you say, how you move, and whom you include all bear spiritual weight. In this season, God is calling you to walk softly yet powerfully, quietly but with precision, because what's coming is far too great to be exposed prematurely. Let's break this down into 7 chapters so you can fully understand why this silence is strategic and why your next move requires nothing more than your wholehearted yes to God, rather than an explanation to people. Before we dive into this word, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, because this message is not just content. It is a divine instruction tailored for this very moment in your life. If this resonates deeply within your spirit, type 77 in the comments right now. That number is not just a number, it is a prophetic signal, a sacred agreement between your soul and the Spirit of God. It signifies that you are in position, in alignment, and ready to obey without hesitation and without the need for public validation or announcement. Not everyone is ready to receive this. But for those who remain until the end of this message, those who feel the call and recognize the weight of divine secrecy, you are about to receive a level of clarity that the world is not yet meant to witness. This word is layered. It is encrypted with insight. So revisit it as often as your spirit prompts you to, because each time you do, you will uncover something you previously missed. A hidden key, a quiet instruction, a divine whisper specifically meant to guide your next move. Let's dive deeper. Chapter 1. God reveals strategy to the disciplined, not the loud. Chosen one, this message is not for everyone, and that is exactly the point. You are not being excluded. You are being entrusted. There is something sacred about silence, something divine about discretion. God does not release blueprints into noisy rooms. He delivers them in quiet places through disciplined spirits. If it feels like God has been unusually silent in your life lately, it is not because he is absent. It is because he is downloading something weighty, something that requires stillness to carry. Consider how heaven moves. When Moses encountered the burning bush, he was alone, on a quiet mountain. That sacred moment did not happen in a crowd, but in solitude, because divine strategy requires undistracted attention. When Joseph was being developed, it did not happen in the palace, it happened in the prison. And Jesus, the King of Kings, did not prepare for his ministry in front of a crowd. He was led into the wilderness, away from everyone. That is where clarity comes. That is where strategy is revealed. That is where the noise of life is stripped away and only the voice of God remains. Your silence is not a sign of weakness. It is evidence that you are being trusted. God is not calling you to explain yourself right now. He is calling you to obey quietly. This is why some people around you do not understand what you are building. This is why the vision he gave you feels too big to share. It is not meant for their eyes, not yet. It is not ready for public consumption. It is still being formed, still cooking in the spiritual oven, and pulling it out too early could compromise the entire outcome. In this season, discipline is not optional. It is required. Your obedience must be sharper than your emotions, and your consistency must outlast your desire for applause. This is a spiritual training ground, and heaven is closely observing how you handle this hidden season. Can you be trusted with secrets? Can you carry spiritual weight without seeking recognition? Can you continue walking by faith when no one is clapping, liking, or even noticing? God is not searching for loud performers. He is looking for quiet warriors, those who pray more than they post, who move more than they announce, and who carry true power because they have chosen consecration over conversation. You, chosen one, are being refined into that kind of vessel. So if you feel alone right now, good. If your phone is silent, good. If no one is asking about your vision, even better. Because God is removing distractions in order to deliver direction. Stay disciplined. Stay silent. Stay sharp. This season of quiet obedience is setting the stage for your loudest breakthrough yet. And when it comes, people will ask how you did it. You will smile and simply say, God whispered, and I listened. Chapter 2. What God showed you can't be explained, only obeyed. Chosen one, understand this. There are certain things that heaven releases which are meant to be acted upon, not announced. Some instructions from God are too sacred to be subjected to public opinion, group discussion, family approval, or the fleeting validation of social media. This next move, the one stirring deeply in your spirit, was not given to you for consensus. It was a private instruction wrapped in divine urgency. And the longer you wait for it to make sense to others, the longer you delay what God is trying to birth through you. Let's be real, not everyone will understand the vision, and that's okay. It wasn't meant for everyone. It was entrusted to you. Some of you are losing valuable time trying to explain spiritual blueprints to people who do not even understand spiritual language. You are casting sacred plans before individuals who see only problems. And while they are busy dissecting your destiny, the enemy is hoping you'll become so exhausted defending your obedience that you abandon the assignment altogether. But this time, you won't, because something deep in your spirit knows this is not optional. It is critical. When Noah built the ark, no one had ever seen rain. He wasn't building based on what was. He was building based on what God said was coming. And that's you. You are building for what has not yet arrived. You are moving in faith toward an outcome that only God can see. And the truth is, that's what faith really is. Not a feeling, but a follow-through. Not confidence in yourself, but unwavering confidence in the one who sent you. People might laugh. Let them. They laughed at Noah too until the flood came. People might distance themselves. Let them. God will replace their absence with divine alignment. Some may think you're doing too much, but what they fail to realize is that your movement today is the very reason some of them will survive tomorrow. You're not just building a vision, you're building a refuge. You're not merely walking in obedience, you're clearing a path for others who will one day need exactly what you are preparing now. God is not asking you to explain this next step. He is asking you to obey it. Because obedience is the bridge between your current season and the breakthrough that is waiting on the other side. Some doors will not open until you take the step. Some battles will not end until you follow the instruction. Some resources will not be released until you move in faith, without needing to understand it all. So do not stall. Do not shrink. Do not second guess what you clearly heard in the quiet place. If God said go, then go. If he said build, then build. If he said stay silent, then stay silent. This is not a season for audience approval. It is a season for divine alignment. And every act of obedience, no matter how small, is a seed. That seed will return to you in the form of open doors, divine protection, unexpected favor, and supernatural provision. Chosen one, you are not behind. You are not crazy. You are not imagining things. You are receiving instructions from a realm that others are simply not tuned into. Trust that, honor that, move with reverence, not reluctance. Because what God has shown you is not meant to be explained. It is meant to be obeyed. Chapter 3. Silence protects what's still information. Chosen one, understand this. The most powerful things God bursts in your life often begin in silence, not because they are insignificant, but because they are sacred. And sacred things must be protected, especially while they are still forming. You are in a divine season of development, and though it may feel quiet, it is far from empty. Heaven is active, God is moving, but he is asking you to remain silent, not as a form of punishment, but as a form of protection. When a seed is planted, it does not shout. It does not announce its presence. It simply roots itself and begins the deep, unseen work of becoming. So must you. The seed has no audience, no applause, no likes, and no approval, but it has purpose, and it understands that becoming visible too soon can destroy its destiny. That same principle applies to you right now. You are becoming something, something God has authored, something generational. And silence is the shield God is using to cover your formation. Do not be discouraged by the lack of applause. Do not be confused by the silence surrounding you. This is holy, a divine stillness in which God is protecting the blueprint he placed inside of you. Because when you are carrying something valuable, not everyone deserves access to it. Some will misunderstand it, others will mock it, and some, whether knowingly or not, will attempt to kill it before it is fully alive. There are people observing your life right now who are only capable of understanding your past, not your future. That is why God is concealing you. You may feel isolated, but you are not alone. You are being insulated. God is building protective walls around your vision, not to imprison it, but to insulate it from spiritual contamination. Every layer of silence is an added layer of protection, not to hide you, but to prepare you for what lies ahead. This is not the time to post everything God is speaking. This is not the season to explain every step you take. And if you're wondering why certain people no longer understand you, it's because they were never meant to walk with you into what comes next. What is growing in your spirit is not meant for common company. It is not suited for shallow conversations or surface-level understanding. It is intended for those who carry spiritual weight and who understand the importance of sacred timing. Let God finish writing the vision before you present the title. Let Him complete the formation of the blessing before you attempt to label it. Sometimes the exhaustion you feel is not because of what you're carrying, but because of what you've exposed too soon. When you speak prematurely, you invite warfare that you are not yet meant to face. You draw attention to a process that was designed to remain private. You allow noise to enter a space that was meant to remain still. Chosen one, do not confuse progress with promotion. Just because something is forming does not mean it is ready to be revealed. The most critical stages of development happen in silence. Just ask any mother carrying a child. No one sees the daily miracle unfolding inside her, but that does not make it any less real. In fact, it is the very invisibility that makes it sacred. So stay low, stay grounded, stay prayerful. Speak only what the Spirit permits. Protect your peace. And if anyone asks what you're up to, simply smile and say, I'm building. Because when God is finished, when it is time to reveal, the very thing you protected in silence will speak louder than any announcement you could have made. The silence is not a delay. It is not a denial. It is a divine sign that God trusts you with something too significant for premature exposure. Let it form. Let it grow. Let it rise without needing to be seen. Because what is being formed in you will change everything. Not just for you, but for generations to come. Chapter 4. You're not hiding. You're being shielded. Chosen one. What you're going through may feel like you're being overlooked, passed over, or even forgotten. But God wants you to understand, this is not hiding. This is shielding. And there is a difference. Hiding implies fear or shame. Shielding reflects divine strategy. God is not concealing you because of rejection. He is preserving you for a greater revelation. You are not in the shadows because you are unprepared. You are in the shadows because what you are carrying is far too valuable to be exposed prematurely. Sometimes God will pull you back, not to delay you, but to protect what He is building inside of you. Think about that. Before David was anointed king, he was a shepherd in the fields, unseen, unnoticed, and unknown by most. But it was in those lonely, hidden fields that he learned how to fight lions and bears, how to worship in silence, and how to hear God's voice without the noise of the crowd. He wasn't hiding, he was being prepared. And when the appointed time came, God didn't need a crowd to qualify him. God sent for him. That same process is happening in your life right now. You may feel disconnected from people you once connected with. The spotlight may have dimmed. The phone calls may have slowed. The affirmation may be silent. But none of that means you're being overlooked. It means you're being positioned. But do not mistake this silence for stillness, and do not confuse your removal with rejection. You are not losing your place. You are being led to a higher one. God is shielding you because some of the places you used to go can no longer contain what He is bringing forth through you. Some of the people you used to walk with cannot comprehend the weight of your mantle. And some of the platforms you once stood on are too small for the reach of your calling. God is upgrading the software of your spirit. And in order to do that, He had to shut down the old system. That is not punishment. It is protection. You are being set apart. You are being refined. You are being made ready for something the former version of you could never carry. And here's the truth. If God had allowed certain people to remain in your life, they would have corrupted the vision. If he had opened certain doors too early, they would have diluted your purpose. If he had exposed you before you were fully established, the criticism would have crushed you. So he shielded you. He placed you under divine cover. He assigned angels to silence the unnecessary noise. He allowed you to walk alone so that you would finally learn how to walk with him. He removed the applause so you could hear his instructions more clearly. He took you off their radar so he could put you on heaven's calendar. You may be hidden from the world right now, but you are wide open to God. And that is where true preparation takes place. That is where vision expands. That is where faith takes root. That is where power is cultivated. It is in that sacred hidden space where you learn to walk by the Spirit, not by sight and certainly not by public approval. Chosen one, God is not merely working on your visibility, he is working on your durability. He is building a foundation so strong that when the storms come, you will not break. He is stretching your character so that when influence arrives, you will not collapse under its weight. He is refining your heart so that when the blessings come, you will remain humble, focused, and faithful. And when God determines that the time is right, not when people are ready, not when you are trending, not when you are viral, but when heaven has approved your release, he will reintroduce you, not with noise, but with evidence. You will not need to defend your calling. You will not need to explain your absence. The fruit on your life will speak for itself. The oil on your head will be undeniable, and the favor surrounding you will silence every question and erase every doubt. Chapter 5. Do not announce what God has called you to act upon. In this next season of your life, God is entrusting you with instructions that are not meant to be shared publicly. They are meant to be obeyed privately. Not every word spoken from heaven is intended for public consumption, and not every divine vision is meant for discussion. Some things are sacred, and what is sacred must be protected rather than projected. Too often, when we catch a glimpse of our destiny, we feel an overwhelming urge to announce it. The excitement builds, the vision feels weighty with purpose, and the fire of confirmation burns within our spirit. In our zeal, we rush to post about it, to speak on it, to explain what God has shown us. But revelation without divine timing leads to vulnerability. God is not calling you to go public with everything he reveals. He is calling you to go deeper in private. In this season, discretion is obedience, and silence can be a form of worship. What the Lord whispered to you in the quiet place of prayer was never intended for the ears of the crowd. It was meant to guide the steps of your faith. It was not a call to impress others, but a divine command to move in obedience. In this sacred hour, your obedience is your microphone, and your actions are your message. You do not need to speak to make an impact. The impact itself will speak on your behalf. Consider the story of Joseph. He was given a dream by God, a vision that foretold his rise to leadership, the bowing of his brothers, and a future marked by greatness. Yet in his youthful innocence and excitement, Joseph shared the dream prematurely. The result, jealousy was awakened, a pit was prepared, and a plot was formed. Although God, in his sovereignty, ultimately used every part of the journey for good, Joseph's untimely announcement made his path more difficult and his process more painful. There is a lesson here. Divine revelation requires divine timing. What God gives you in secret is often meant to be walked out before it is ever talked about. God is teaching you a lesson that Joseph had to learn through hardship. Just because you have seen the vision does not mean you are called to speak it aloud. And just because you have heard clearly from God does not mean that others are prepared or worthy to receive that revelation. In this season, the Lord is instructing you to move like Jesus, with power, yet with discretion, with boldness, yet clothed in wisdom. You do not owe anyone an explanation for the instructions you are faithfully obeying. Let them wonder. Let them speculate. Let them make assumptions. Your responsibility is not to provide clarity to others, but to remain steadfast in obedience. Stay in motion, anchored in the quiet assurance that when God is the one leading, the results will ultimately speak louder than any announcement you could have made. At times, silence becomes your most powerful weapon. It confounds the enemy and safeguards your inner peace. Chapter 6. This move is too holy for hype. Chosen one, what you are about to step into is not merely another opportunity, it is a divine instruction, a sacred assignment ordained by God. This is not something to be embellished for attention or performed to earn applause. This moment is holy. It carries weight. It marks a sacred turning point that demands not the approval of people, but a deep reverence for God. The Lord is calling you into a space that is too holy to be hyped, too divine to be diluted by the distractions of public attention, and too sacred to be subjected to the opinions of the crowd. This is not a move that requires promotion. It requires prayer. It requires consecration. It requires a purity of heart and a clarity of spirit that can only be cultivated in the secret place. This is not a time to seek visibility. It is a time to seek God. You were not led to this moment to go viral. You were led here to go deeper in intimacy with God, to ascend higher in the spirit, to bow lower in humility, to speak less and surrender more, to lay down ego in exchange for reverence. What God is cultivating within you cannot be measured by likes, shares, or public reactions. The metrics of man are incapable of capturing the majesty of what heaven is constructing in your life. This next move is not about building your image. It is about birthing your impact. And that impact must be conceived and nurtured in the secret place. The spotlight cannot build what is sacred. Only stillness can. Only surrender can. Only full submission to the voice of God, not the noise of public opinion, can carry the weight of this kind of purpose. You are not merely a fleeting trend. You are a sacred temple. You are not just another post for public consumption. You are a living prophecy. You are not defined by a curated personality. You are a divine portal through which the will of God enters the earth. Therefore, treat this movement, this calling, not as something to glamorize, but as something holy. Its significance does not lie in how glamorous it appears to others, but in the fact that it originates from God. The Spirit of the Lord is declaring, "Protect the purity of what I have entrusted to you. Do not degrade it with artificial hype. Do not dilute it to make it more acceptable to others. Do not embellish it in an attempt to make it easier to consume. I did not call you to be popular. I called you to be powerful. And true power does not announce itself with loud declarations. It moves with quiet authority. It does not rush ahead to impress others. It waits patiently on God. It listens carefully for divine timing. It does not strive for visibility. It humbles itself in obedience. It recognizes and reveres the weight of holy moments without turning them into stage performances. There is a great danger in relying on hype. It draws attention that your God-given assignment may not be designed to carry. It exposes areas of your life and calling that are still under construction. It invites people into sacred spaces for which they have no spiritual clearance. And perhaps most dangerously, it shifts your posture from submission to performance. But that is no longer your path. You have matured beyond such temptations. You have witnessed the consequences of elevating movements that have not been sanctified. You have seen the collapse that follows when people promote a calling that God has not yet prepared. You are now being set apart for something deeper, something sacred and intentionally hidden from the superficial gaze of the world. You are no longer chasing after a platform designed for performance or applause. Instead, you are constructing an altar, an intimate place of encounter between heaven and earth. You are not attempting to sell a message for visibility or validation. Rather, you are embodying a mantle, a divine responsibility that comes with weight, with consecration, and with eternal purpose. This next move in your life will be marked by such purity, such precision, and such divine breath that only those with spiritual discernment, those with eyes trained to see in the Spirit, will even perceive what is unfolding. And that is not only acceptable, it is intentional. Because God is not concerned with making you famous, He is focused on making you faithful. He is not interested in how many people know your name. He is interested in how deeply you can carry His name, His nature, and His weight. God is preparing to place something upon your life that is so profound and heavy with eternal significance that only a posture of deep humility will be able to carry it without collapse. So let the world look on in confusion. Let them speculate, wonder, or overlook what they cannot comprehend. You were never called to be understood by the crowd. You were called to be obedient to the Creator. And this season is not about being seen, it's about being sealed. Let them misinterpret your silence if they must. Let them underestimate your strategy simply because they cannot see what is unfolding beneath the surface. You do not need to announce your obedience to the world, nor do you need to prove your alignment with God through outward displays. All that is required is that you walk in obedience, step by step, breath by breath, with holy fear and unwavering trust in the one who called you. This moment you are stepping into is sacred ground. It is not a carefully crafted marketing plan designed for public consumption. It is a divine move orchestrated by heaven. This is not a rollout for visibility or acclaim. It is a revelation, a glimpse into the unfolding will of God on the earth. It is not meant to attract applause. It is meant to fulfill an assignment. So proceed with caution. Speak with intention and restraint. Move with reverence and sensitivity to the Spirit. And above all, remember this. What is happening now is far too holy to be hyped, but it is perfectly timed for heaven's agenda. Let your steps be slow and sacred. Let your voice be low and led. What God is doing in you is not for show, it's for glory. Chapter 7. When the time is right, God will make it public. Chosen one, you have been walking a quiet and hidden road, not because you lack vision or direction, but because you have been entrusted with something holy. The silence surrounding your journey has not been a sign of delay, stagnation, or insignificance. Rather, it has been a deliberate and divine strategy orchestrated by God Himself. In this season, what you have been carrying has required discretion, not display. It has needed protection, not promotion. God has been shaping, refining, and preparing something within you that could not be rushed, exposed prematurely, or mishandled by public opinion. You have not been overlooked. You have been overshadowed by God's hand. You have not been forgotten. You have been hidden for a purpose. For what He is forming in you is sacred, and sacred things are always developed in secret. And when the appointed time comes, when heaven's clock strikes now, God Himself will make it known, not for spectacle, but for significance, not to elevate your name, but to establish His purpose through you. So take heart. The quiet road is not punishment. It is preparation for a public revealing that will be marked by heaven's timing and heaven's authority. Stay faithful in the silence. The stage is not the goal. Obedience is. And when God says it's time, no force on earth will be able to stop what He has set in motion through you. You've been asking why everything in your life right now feels so hidden, so private, so quiet. You've wondered why your efforts go unnoticed, why your faith seems unseen, why your obedience echoes in silence. And the answer, though simple, carries profound weight. Heaven operates in secrecy when the miracle is sacred. What God is doing in your life right now is not meant for public consumption, not yet. At this moment, it may feel as though no one truly sees the depth of your dedication, the quiet labor, the resilient faith, the long nights spent in prayer, while others were broadcasting their lives online. The moments when you chose obedience in secret, even though you had every right and opportunity to share your story aloud. But hear this clearly. God saw it all. Every sacrifice, every surrendered yes, every whispered prayer, none of it escaped His notice. And know this, God is not unjust. He will not allow your private obedience to go unrewarded. He will not let what was cultivated in secret remain unacknowledged when the appointed time comes. There is a divine reason He instructed you to remain silent. It was not because you are unworthy of being seen. It was because the blessing is still in its incubation phase, a holy process requiring protection, not publicity. Premature exposure invites premature warfare. And what God is birthing through you is too sacred, too weighty, too purpose-filled to be subjected to unnecessary battle before it is fully ready. So trust the quiet, honor the hiddenness, and rest in the truth that when the time is right, God Himself will unveil what has been growing beneath the surface. Not for attention, but for assignment. Not for your glory, but for His. Let patience anchor your heart. The silence is not a sign of absence. It is the shelter of something sacred still in the making. If the enemy is unaware of what is coming, then he cannot formulate a strategy to stop it. This is precisely why God has allowed you to remain low, hidden, often misunderstood, and consistently underestimated. It was never a mistake. It was always a part of the divine plan. Chosen one, understand this. The silence you have been walking through is not permanent. It has served a holy purpose, but it will not last forever. There will come a moment, ordained and orchestrated by God Himself, when what you have been faithfully building in the unseen will be revealed. And when that time arrives, the unveiling will not come through hype, through hashtags, or through human promotion. It will come with heavenly evidence, the unmistakable mark of God's hand at work. What has been taking place in the background, behind closed doors and beyond the view of others, is about to emerge into the forefront. Your private prayers whispered in sacred spaces are being transformed into public displays of divine power. So do not be discouraged by the hiddenness. It has been your covering. And soon what was once concealed will be revealed, not for your elevation, but for God's glory. The seed you have been faithfully watering in secret, through prayer, obedience, and quiet perseverance, is about to bloom in full view, in plain sight of those who once overlooked it. And when it does, its growth will be undeniable. No one will be able to question or dismiss what has taken root and flourished under God's care. And the most powerful part of it all is this. You will not need to explain anything. You will not have to respond to doubt. You will not need to clap back at criticism. You will not be required to defend what God Himself has ordained, because your fruit will speak for you. The evident favor upon your life will speak volumes. The supernatural peace resting on your countenance will serve as silent testimony. And the doors that begin to open, doors no one else could have opened, will declare more than words ever could. They will shout louder than any argument, louder than any opposition. This was God. This was divine. This was ordained. So stand still, remain faithful, and let what God has planted in you bloom in His perfect timing. Because when it does, the results will speak louder than your voice ever needed to. Let your life testify. In this next season, your fruit will be your defense, and your peace will be your proof. Those who once overlooked you will find themselves wondering how you arrived at the place you now stand. Those who once doubted your calling and questioned your journey will begin to ask where all of it came from. The favor, the fruit, the undeniable evidence of God's hand on your life. But by the time the manifestation of God's promise becomes visible, it will be too late for envy to hinder it, too late for sabotage to stop it. Because what God establishes in silence, He secures with unshakable strength. No hand, no force, no opposition will be able to touch or tear down what God has faithfully built with you in the secret place. This is precisely why you had to remain quiet. This is why God whispered, "Tell no one yet." Not because the vision was small, and not because you were unworthy of sharing it, but because this assignment was never about popularity, applause, or public validation. It was about legacy. It was about eternal impact. It was about building something that would outlast you. What God has cultivated through your private sacrifice is not just for you. It is for a generation yet to come, a people who will one day be nourished by the fruit of what you planted in obscurity. So do not despise the quiet seasons. They were not signs of delay. They were signs of depth, because the roots had to grow deep before the harvest could be revealed. And now the unveiling begins, not for spectacle, but for kingdom significance. So do not allow the silence to discourage you. Instead, let it serve as a holy reminder that God is near. He is not distant. He is not indifferent. He is watching over every detail, overseeing every step, and orchestrating all things according to His perfect timing. And when He declares that the time has come, everything will come into alignment with divine precision, like clockwork. The people you need, the platform prepared for you, the provision required for the vision, it will all come together, seemingly out of nowhere. But know this, heaven had it prepared all along. You are not behind. You are not missing out. You have not been forgotten. You are being launched intentionally, strategically, and powerfully, according to a timeline that only God could design. So keep obeying, even when it feels unnoticed. Keep trusting, even when the path is unclear. Keep building, even if no one knows your name right now, because the one who called you sees it all. And when he brings it to pass, it will be evident that it was never your name that made it happen. It was his hand. Soon they won't be able to ignore what God is doing in your life. Not because you made noise, but because God revealed it. You're not just waiting for a moment. You're being prepared for a movement. When God says, now you will rise, not with noise, but with real and undeniable power. Right now, this move is still private, just for your eyes, but it won't stay hidden much longer. Heaven is watching. Keep obeying quietly. Keep moving faithfully. And when the time comes, rise boldly. Chosen one, your silence has been sacred. Your patience has been prophetic. Your obedience has said more than any public announcement ever could. You didn't chase platforms, you chased God. Because of that, you are about to walk into a release that no one can stop. It cannot be delayed, denied, or destroyed. Let people wonder. Let them whisper. Let them watch. Because when God makes it public, no one will question who made it happen. Every hidden season was preparation. Every not yet was God saying, I'm building something better. And if you're still hungry for more chapters to this journey, or a visual concept for a video or thumbnail, just say the word. I'm here and ready to help bring it all to life. Thanks for watching. Here ends this video. Take a moment to like, share, and subscribe if you find this video interesting.